welcome to another Paiste video. One of my, 40 Paiste videos. This is a Paiste B8. Remember the statement that I probably should have trademarked? Paiste knows B8. Those should be on their frickin' t-shirts. So what we have here, and their logos and blah, 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 website, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so Paiste 2002. These are all black label. Okay, original 1970s. What we have here, where's my phone? I have the data here. I have the info. These are Paiste Bobs. God love Paiste Bob. I'm still trying to get that rat bastard to make his own channel. I'll help him do it. We'll make the videos here if he wants, but he needs to make a name for himself because he's the Paiste guru. All right, so what I have here is a crash model. Actually, for right now, I have two crash models, okay? And then a medium model. I'm going to put a ride model up because we all know in Bonzoberg, by and large, Bonham on his 18s in 2002ville played mediums. I mean, you can see it in that thing that Marcel Vogelman got from Paiste, all this. You'll find it online, like the cymbals that Bonham got. But remember, that's not a complete list, because whereas you can clearly see Bonham playing 2002s in 1972, it doesn't show on that list Bonham getting a 2002 till Valentine's Day 1973, and it's a 16-inch. Okay? I can't remember if it's a medium or a crash. Anyway, so what we have here is remember, Bonham by and large would play a medium. You can see he got a few 18-inch mediums. These are all 18s, like I said. And in photographs, you can see from above and stuff. You can really tell the difference between ride is a very short nugget, crash is a little bigger, medium's bigger. It has two more letters than even crash. Or more even, right? M-E-D-I-U, or at least one more. But you can just tell by looking at it. It'll say medium, song, I mean, same, all that other stuff. So here we are. What I have here are two crashes. The first crash is from, this baby is from 1976, and it weighs in at 1391 grams, okay? So that is a crash here, 1976, and then here is a 1974 crash that is actually slightly heavier at 1414. Now this 1414 weight puts it at like my golden weight. I love like a 1415 gram 18-inch crash, because my best 505s I've ever had, 18-inch crash models, have been about 1415 grams, okay? Remember, a 505 is very similar to this. 505s had the original giant beat bell, at least the 18s and 20s, and the hi-hats, versus the 2002s, which have a very small bell. That was sort of when Paiste made the 2002s. Apart from the lathing they changed, they also changed the shape. Okay, the bells were a lot smaller, at least on the 18s, on the crashes anyway. So, what we have here, let me play. Here's the 18, the 1976, which is 1,391 grams. Ready? Hang on, I don't want it to be distorted by my mouth mic. Now, to me personally, I prefer the slightly heavier 1,414 gram, for the reasons that I've said. I just really like a 1,400, just over 1,400 grams on an 18. Again, Paiste, on their giant beats, I don't have the data right now specifically for the Red Label 2002s. I would think that a 18-inch right now Red Label crash you bought brand new from Paiste would probably be about, I would guess, about 14. It might be in the 1414 range. And they make thin crashes, too. In fact, if you go to the Paiste Sound Room, the website, that 18-inch thin crash, if you put that straight up against the 18-inch regular crash, just crash versus the thin crash, that thin crash is beautiful. I would imagine that thin crash is probably about 1,390 grams, maybe. 1,380, 1,390. Oh, so what I'm going to do is, my favorite of the crashes is this 1414. So we're going to pull out the 13 and change, 1391-ish. So put the crash, my ideal weight of an 18, in that position. And now what I'm going to do is put up a Here is the 18-inch medium, and this baby's from 1978. Okay, 18-inch medium. This is 1,523 grams. So from my experience, it's a little heavier, from my experience, for a medium, slightly for that era. Of course, Bob would know. Too bad I don't have him here. And this is a 1976 18-inch ride. And interestingly enough, you'll see on some, well, on Giant Beats and 2002's original Giant Beats, and also on the reissue Giant Beats, call it nipple hammering. I know that sounds wacky, but so you have the normal, like, circle of hammering, but in the middle there's sort of like what looks like a nipple. It looks like if there were like a circle with sort of a thing in it, okay? You can see that here on this. You don't see it on these two babies, but you see it on this ride, okay? So what we have here, and it is interesting, in Bonhamville, you do see on that little later on in the Bonham, at least the Marcel Vogel, you can see the Paiste sheet, okay? Look online, type in Paiste Bonham cymbal agreement. You'll find it. You'll see that Bonham later did get an 18-inch ride. Okay, so again, this would be pretty much this model. So again, let me do this. I'm going to go from the crash to the medium to the ride, then I'll give you the weights and stuff afterward. Let me turn off my headphones. So that's going to be the short video here. I want to make this short and sweet. No more yapping about all this other stuff, but real fast. So what I am going to do is give you the data. So remember, this crash, 18-inch crash, Black Label Original, 2002, is 1,414 grams. Okay, right for me at my, what I call my sweet spot for an 18 B8 alloy crash, for my own purposes. Not necessarily for like Bonham tribute or Led Zeppelin purposes. But here, I'll tell you something, though. These two, and these I think are Bob's like keeper of keepers. This is a great specimen of an 18-inch 2002 original Black Label medium, and this is the best example of an 18-inch 2002 ride I've ever heard. Okay, so the 18-inch ride we have here, the 18-inch side of the ride, this is 1,586 grams. So this is heavy for an 18, but it's wonderful, especially like on stage. And again, all right, hey, let me talk again. I might have to edit that out. So anyway, so here we are now, because I didn't take off my thing. So again, we have the 18-inch crash at 1,414 grams, the 18-inch medium at 1,523 grams, and then an 18-inch ride at 1,586 grams. Now this is the best example of an 18-inch 2002 Black Label ride I've ever heard, okay? You know, an 18-inch, I bought back in the day when I did my first sort of Bonham 18-inch experiment, I had seen or heard of, you know, you'd always hear that Bonham used an 18-inch as a ride, as a crash, sometimes a ride as a crash. So I went and I bought an 18-inch crash, an 18-inch medium, an 18-inch at the time they had heavy crashes, and then an 18-inch ride. And I'll tell you, the 18-inch ride was a sewer cap. I would bet it was about almost, I'm not kidding, about 1,700 grams. Because remember, they beefed them up in the 80s into the 90s for breakage and stuff. But anyway, so this is a great example of an 18-inch 2002 Black Label ride model. Again, from 1976 at 1,586. This is a great specimen of an original Black Label medium from 1978, which is 1,523. And this is a terrific example of a Black Label crash from 1974 at 1,414 grams. Here, I'll do the bells for fun. Kind of hit around the bell a little, so. again, that 18-inch ride is nipple hammering on it, which is really cool. You'll know what I mean if you're a Paiste diehard. In fact, I'll show you. This is a Paiste reissue giant beat. This is a multi-model. This is the 18, if I'm not mistaken, that Paiste Bob bought at the 2005 Chicago Drum Show. It was really, they brought this. This is like really like one of the first ones they made or at least sold, okay? And this baby, just for fun, this is thinner. This is 1,312 grams, if I'm not mistaken, which is thin. Let me double check that though, okay? I'm double checking. Your ring of rings. Okay, yes, 18-inch Paiste Giant Beat reissue, 1312. And the cool thing about the reissues is, remember, the reissues have the 2002 shape you can clearly see. Okay? You know what I mean? The smaller bell and stuff. But you'll see the nipple hammering on this guy. And this one sounds wonderful. Let me put this up. I'll put this up against the Crash. So the 18-inch 2002 Black Label Crash at 1414 versus the reissue from 2005, though. So this one's already 14 years old. 18-inch multi. Here we go. Ready? And you'll hear that, see how the giant beat's so much smoother? Because it's that fine giant beat lathing. The same lathing they used to have on the Supers, well, although the Supers by and large were duds. But that was, I think it had to do with the tempering, not obviously the lathing. But or Sound Edge Formula 602. You know what I mean? Remember, Sound Edge Formula 602 have a real fine lathing on them. If somebody's ever going to sell you a pair of Sound Edge Formula 602 hi-hats and the top cymbal doesn't have the real fine lathing, somebody broke the original top and got like a medium hi-hat top or a thin or something, put it on top. So here they are. So what I would like to do, if Paiste ever wants to send me modern versions of these babies, I could, you know, all they have to do is pay for shipping and I'll send them right back. But again, it would be nice in modern Giant Beatville to have a, remember this, I mean, look at this, the multi here is 1312 grams. Their 18-inch thin has got to be in the probably upper 11s. It'd be wonderful if they had a reissue 18-inch Giant Beat. That was in the 1,415 gram range, and maybe one a little heavier, maybe up in the like 1,523 gram range, you know what I mean? Because remember, the original Giant Beats had big weight differentials. You know what I mean? There were some, Bob told me there were some in the, I can't remember if he said there were some, there were some thinner Giant Beats 18s that would be in the 13s, and some that would be in the 1,500 gram range. You know what I mean? That's a big spread. Anyway, I hope you dug this video. 18-inch 2002s. I'll make a few more with the 20s. These are kind of the first ones I think I've done with better sound. But a lot of people do ask about the 18-inch size, like should I get a Crash or a medium or ride, especially as it relates to Bonham because of all the, you know, what you've read in the articles over the years and the Marcel Vogelman thing he got from Paiste, the cymbal agreement, that shows he got an 18-inch ride. I would strongly suggest don't use a modern 2002 18-inch ride as a Crash, because even now they're still heavy, even after I think they thinned them out a little. So, but thank you for watching. More videos on the way, including PFOZ. Don't forget to subscribe to People's Front of Zeppelin. They're going to drop a video very soon that's mind-blowing. So subscribe to them. Don't forget to subscribe to Bonzology. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. If you have any questions about drum gear, cymbals, or anything, or Bonham stuff, or anything, drum-related, freaky Zeppelin, Bonhamite stuff, bonzolium@gmail.com.